My name is Susan Rushton, and this is my other show. This is AhMuse, and this is the show on which I'm privileged to, I'm thrilled to, I'm tickled to, I'm delighted to talk to people who are visited by the muse. Doesn't matter which muse. This muse is the writing muse, and what we're talking about today. I am a writer, and I have two other writers with me, and we are going to join together and talk about writing, our writing. And one of my guests, Rosanne McHenry, author, is right here. Thank you very much, Rosanne,
Thank
for
you,
joining
Susan.
me.
Delighted to be here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And Stuart Rawlings, my other author. Stuart, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And you can look for them you can contact Rosanne54 at sbcglobal.net or triptalesbook.com. And Stuart is available at stuartrawlings910 at gmail.com. And you can look for him all over Amazon. He will be having a new website soon, but at the moment you can look for him all over Amazon.com. Okay, so this is the way this is gonna work. I have several questions in here, and we're all going to talk about them and answer them. And the first one, always, is what do you write? So, and I get to answer that question first. So, this is the book I wrote 10 years ago. 10 years ago I got it together. This is 105 of some of my favorite columns from the Auburn Journal. I'm thrilled with it, and I keep looking at it and finding mistakes. And even though there are mistakes in here, it's a wonderful book. I just get a kick out of it.
It is.
Okay, this is Reflections from My Small Town by Susan Rushton. So that's my book. That's what I write at the moment. So, Rosanne, what do you write?
Well, first of all, I want to say I love your book, Susan.
Good,
I
thank
love
you.
reading it and everything in it. I write about my life as a park ranger.
Okay.
I spent my whole life as a park ranger, and I wrote this book, which is about how family camping adventures as a child inspired me to become a park ranger.
Okay.
So all these crazy, hilarious, wonderful, ridiculous, fun, and exciting adventures as a child with my family in a tiny little teardrop trailer. And all the adventures we had, and being outdoors and enjoying California and Oregon and Washington and these camping trips, and the park rangers that I met along the way.
Good.
I realized at one point, very early on, that being a park ranger was what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And so I developed this book, Trip Tales, From Family Camping to Life as a Ranger. It's a collection of short stories that you can pick up and put down anytime.
About your family and about your enthusiasm about the camping and hiking.
That's
and,
right.
And yeah.
The first half is about that, and then the second part is about actually becoming a park ranger and working my earlier jobs, which was at the Golden Gate National Recreation Area, Marin Headlands,
Okay.
and then later at Mount Rainier National Park in Washington.
Great.
And so this is all about that.
Great. Okay. Thank you. So, Stuart.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having us here. I love this kind of thing, by the way.
Good.
We get a chance to talk about meaningful issues here. This is the book
And
that I
there's
brought
nothing more
today.
meaningful than talking about writing.
Well, anyway, I have written 23 books about a number of things, 8 books of quotations, 4 children's books, a lot of history books, a memoir that's huge. But this is the one I picked for today. It's called Delusions, and it's a novel in which I bring back from history 12 of the most important people of our civilization. And this, Jesus,
And,
Adolf Hitler,
Eleanor
Buddha.
Roosevelt.
Eleanor Roosevelt, right? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Eleanor Roosevelt. Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, and so on. All of them are characters that I bring back to a psychiatric ward one by one. And so they're all in there together and interacting with each other. And I explore a lot of their different ideas on everything from science to religion. You know, say Einstein is one,
Wow.
of course, and Michelangelo. So all these ideas are explored by having them interact with each other in this psychiatric ward.
Wow.
Sounds awesome.
Fascinating.
Well, I think so.
Fascinating. Wow. Great.
Delusions again.
So, and so that's just one of the things you've written, and
Right.
and Rosanne, we're going to be working on you are currently working on
I
your
am.
next book,
I am working
which
on
is the same thing.
the next book is about my continued life as a ranger and working here in Auburn State Recreation Area at Folsom Lake, at the South Yuba River, at Lake Orville, and 9.5 years as the chief ranger at the Gold Discovery Park in Coloma, where we
Great.
held all these amazing events.
Well,
So,
wonderful.
yeah.
So, wow. Okay. Thank you. So, the next question. Take that and don't look. Now you can look now.
What's one of the best pieces of advice you received or read about writing? Great question. My favorite piece of advice that I ever heard was from an author called William Forstchen, and he wrote a book called 1 Second After. And in his writing, he talks about how important it is to write what you know. Write what you know. Write what is your passion. Write what's important to you. Write what gives you joy. And so for me, writing about my life as a ranger and conveying that sense, that love of the outdoors, that joy in our natural heritage, and getting people to get excited about being stewards of our beautiful planet,
Yeah.
and wanting to go out and take part in that shared heritage. That's very important for me.
Yeah, and for one thing, the energy and the enthusiasm one has for stuff one knows. One, you want to work harder on it.
Yes.
Work hard on it
Inspires
because
you.
you like it,
Yeah,
and you want to share it,
that's right.
and there's less research to do.
You know what you want to say?
Yes. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just a matter of pulling the stories out and telling them. And when I tell a story, I don't just tell it, I share it. I make it an experience for
Great.
everybody. I bring them into the story so that they feel like they're actually there, they're a part of it. And so that's what my readers say they love about the book,
Good.
is they feel like they're part of the adventure.
That's wonderful. Okay, Stuart, your answer.
Yes.
No, not yet.
Oh.
Not yet.
Oh, I
Not yet.
answered the same
Yes,
question
answer
here.
that question.
Well, Rose just gave you great advice. Write about what you know, and I agree with that. I'm going to give you a second piece of advice. Don't procrastinate.
Right.
I have
I don't
so-
know what you mean.
Right.
Well, as in many things in life, and particularly the things as meaningful as writing a memoir, for example, a lot of people come to me and say, oh, should I do this or that? And I give them advice and say, I want in 1 week you to have a chapter outline, and I want you to present it, and then I want you to keep going. The main thing is don't put it off. So that's my piece of advice to new writers.
Are so right about that. I didn't start writing this
Okay.
until a few years ago.
Uh-oh.
I wanted to write it all my life.
Right. Don't put it off.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Great answer.
One of mine is kill your darlings.
Yes.
Kill your
Yes.
darlings.
So
Because
painful.
here's this wonderful. You're writing clearly and straightforwardly and interestingly and so forth and so forth, and then you have this lovely piece. Oh, and the problem with it is that it's
Doesn't
going
fit.
to attract attention to itself.
Yes.
It's going to stop your reader.
Yes.
You don't want that to happen. You want your reader to behave, to have it be as if you're floating, you're sailing on your writing. Your reader is sailing on your writing.
Yes.
And even better is forgetting that they're reading.
Yes. Being a part of the story.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the hardest thing is killing your darlings. I had to
Oh, it's
kill
awful.
at least a half dozen darlings in this first book. And it was so
Oh.
hard to let go of them. But my editor told me if you want your book to make sense and you want to bring your readers along, you're going to have to cut those chapters.
Yes.
It's a painful
Darn it.
experience.
Yes. But by killing your darlings, you make your book a darling.
You do, and you
I
save
just made
those.
that up.
You do. And you save those stories for later.
Yes. Great. Okay, remember that. kill your darlings. Stuart, what's...
All right.
Don't look in there. Don't look in there.
No. How can I look?
Just-
Okay. What do you look for in your writing? Let me answer this way. This novel here started at 3 o'clock in the morning when I woke up and I had this vision. I wanted to bring all these characters into the psychiatric ward, starting with Adolf Hitler.
These
by the
specific
way.
characters.
These specific characters.
You had these characters.
Oh, they're in my mind, and I love them. I love history, but Jesus, Thomas Jefferson, all these people. So what I did, I can't remember what the question is, but I went down to my computer and I wrote the first chapter. Boom! You just do it seize the moment, and that's the way a lot of my writing gets done in the middle of the morning, literally. So I would recommend that. Follow the energy. When the energy happens, go with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And so what's the question?
The question is, what do you look for in your writing?
Doing it is apparently what you look for. Okay.
Yeah, just don't waste time. Jump into it. Do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very
Rosanne.
Well, as I was saying just a few moments ago, for me, what I look for in my writing is how to engage my readers, how to bring them into the story, how to bring them along so that it's a shared experience, so that it's meaningful to them, that it actually makes them excited to be there, to become a part of the story. So when I talk, for example, about one of the favorite stories that people love from this book is the one called The Stolen Picnic Table. And it's about how my dad would get so frustrated because every weekend we would go to have a picnic. But by the time you get several kids out of the house, especially after church on Sunday, and you get out to a picnic area, all the tables are gone. So
people are sitting at them.
They're all sitting at the picnic tables, and so you're relegated to sitting on the ground. Like, he didn't like that, so he got the idea of buying his own picnic table and taking it out to the beach. Great idea, in theory, right? Great idea. But you get out there, you have your picnic, you're happy, you're having fun. But the people who've come after you have arrived. Now they're waiting for that picnic table. Now they want to use it. And now you have a real problem because they're like, okay, leave, it's our turn. And my father was like, that's my picnic table. And they're trying to
We know it's your picnic table. You were sitting at it, buddy.
Get your own picnic table.
Yeah.
So when I tell this story, I actually bring people into the center of the story until they are literally laughing out loud. And every story is like that. So what I look for is find a way to engage your readers, really bring them in.
Okay. And what? And the question is what? What do you look for in your
What do you
writing?
look for in your writing? Yeah.
Okay. What I look for in my writing is clarity, directness, just getting there, making it clear, because my reader is more important than anything.
That's right.
If something, for one thing, the Friends is on in 10 minutes, or my favorite other thing is on. Why should I want to go watch that if it's taking too long to get there, and it's not interesting on the way, why should I keep reading?
Yes. You want to keep your readers
Oh
with you.
gosh, yes.
So important.
Yeah.
And you have that ability. I've read your stories.
Thank you.
Particularly love Rufus B. Firefly.
Oh, good. Alrighty. Okay. So, who is one of your favorite authors? One of my favorite authors is Peter S. Beagle. He writes fantasy. I adore him, and the book of his that I like best is The Innkeeper's Song. I highly recommend it, and I don't necessarily care a lot about fantasy, but I just care if it's well written. If something's well written, I'm its fan.
Yes.
And one of the things about this book, this Peter Beagle book, is that the heroine is a storyteller, and she saves her life and her partner's life by telling a story and distracting her enemy so she can get even with him.
Wow.
She tells a story perfectly. Perfectly.
Exciting. I've got to read that book.
Yes. So Peter Beagle is one of my favorite authors. Okay. Who is one of your favorite authors?
I have several, and it was really a difficult question to answer that. But the one I settled on was Noah Yuval Harris. Sometimes he goes by Noah Yuval Harari, but he wrote a series of books, my favorite of which is called Sapiens. And it's all about humanity, all about how humanity began, how we all came out of Africa, how we advanced as Homo sapiens, and everything that we became, over the millennia, and also what we're becoming. And to me, that's just fascinating. I mean, I've read countless books about early human culture and also about primate culture, which fascinates me. Another of my very favorite authors is Jane Goodall. I love all of her books so much. But Noah has a way of just bringing out the wonder of humanity. So I'd say that is one that captures me the most. Yes, he is.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Stuart.
Okay, my favorite author is on the cover of this book here. It's H.G. Wells, Herbert George Wells.
Outstanding.
And he wrote The Time Machine, which is similar to what I did in this book here. He developed a time machine that could go back in history and also could go forward in history.
That's right.
And of course all sorts of situations. And I kept thinking, I want to meet Jesus. Let's invent a time machine, and I want to go back and see what he was really like.
Yeah.
I want to meet Thomas Jefferson and go to Monticello and have dinner with the great sage. And so I would H.G. Wells, also the style of his novels, they just drew me in. The War of the Worlds, The Invisible Man, the let's see, Mr. Bletzworthy of Rampole Island.
Oh, I'm so impressed. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I've read like 30, but he wrote over 200 books, by the way,
Wow.
amazingly prolific.
Amazing.
But H.G. Wells has to be my favorite author, and this book is really tailored after his writing style,
Oh, boy.
as well as using his time machine.
Wow.
Can't wait to read it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Thank you. All right.
Let's see. What's the hardest part about writing? This is a great question. The hardest part about writing is not writing the book. The hardest part about writing is not developing and publishing the book. The hardest part about writing is getting people to know that your book exists. I mean, I self-published my book. I put it out there on Amazon, and I naively thought, once it's out there, people will find it. They will get it, they will read it, they will love it. And then I realized there's 70 million titles of books out there on Amazon. 70 million. So it's like, oh my gosh, how do I get my book out there so it's actually noticed? So to me, that's the hardest.
And writers have to work hours, days, months, years by themselves, huddled in writing and writing and writing and writing, and that's what they're best at, and then they have to go out and be in the public,
tell the world that your book
and the
exists.
world and promote and this is wonderful and I wrote it, therefore. But that's not good enough.
No, you have to work so hard. Book signings, podcasts, performances, radio shows, going out in person and doing presentations. And I love all that, but that is the hardest part.
Yes.
It's just getting noticed.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Stuart.
Okay. What's the hardest part about writing? I'll say, first of all, I have no trouble writing.
No.
It just happens. It's a force. I can't stop. I can't keep myself from writing.
Right.
When I wake up at 3 a.m. or whenever it is, I just get down to my computer and I write. Great question about getting an audience. If you write, what's the purpose of writing if you don't have an audience and you can't push your ideas out for people? I don't worry about that. I modeled myself after Vincent van Gogh, who did these paintings. I don't think he might have sold one in his life, or if he was lucky, and now they're selling for hundreds of millions. But I look at him, I got to do this. This is my product. If people don't read it, that's okay with me. The hardest part of my writing for this story here is when I did the audio version of Delusions, and I had to come up with voices for all of these historical characters. And I'll just give you two just quickly here. The first one is Thomas Jefferson and his chapter when he's talking with Jesus. Okay, so what does Thomas Jefferson sound like? Here's what I think at an elderly age. Good sir, I want to thank you for spending this time with me.
Okay.
Jesus, then. Now, what are you going to do for Jesus? So I decided to give it a deep voice, very gravitas, and this is his answer. This is sort of his answer to the question. Thomas, first of all, I should mention that I am an ordinary human like yourself.
Wow.
And so what I tell you in answer to your questions should not be taken as what you might call gospel truth.
Okay.
So that's the hardest one, getting up these voices.
Yeah. All right. And so the question is, what's the hardest part
What's
of
the
writing?
hardest part of writing? Yeah.
Well, unlike the two of you, the hardest part of writing is beginning. Actually, maybe not beginning, just continuing. The hardest part is the first draft. The hardest editing is simple.
Yes.
Editing. Oh yes. Oh no, and this would be bad. But the first part. The first draft is the hardest part, and getting there for me. Oh yes, okay. I know I need to write. I know it. I know I do. Okay. All right. Okay. So the next question goes to Stuart.
What's the best part about writing?
Haven't we talked about that? But well, I guess we haven't.
I'll give my brief answer would be, I like processing life, okay? Whether it's a relationship that I'm talking about, whether it's the substance of the conversation between Jesus and Jefferson, whether it's Adolf Hitler visiting the place where he used to vacation and it had already been bombed. But I love describing things and in my own mind processing what really happened and what's important. So the processing is important to me.
Okay.
So what's the...
No. Is that the question you just asked?
Right. Go ahead,
okay.
Yeah.
And the question is, what's the best part about writing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes I can't remember writing. Sometimes I'm so involved that I suddenly realize that I have 500 words, or 1,000, or 1,500, or 1,000,000. But that doesn't happen. But I like it. I like the process of writing, regardless of what I said previously, because I can do it. I also love being finished. I love that. I adore that. And it is fun and a delight to get compliments.
It is.
Oh.
And
It is. It's a joy.
I can't, that might sound selfish,
No.
but it feels so good.
Because you know that you've connected
Yeah.
with others. You've made that special connection, and that's everything.
Yes. Okay.
And for me, the best part about writing is, it's one of the last chapters in my book, and it talks about how I had given a talk the night before. I was at Mount Rainier National Park in Washington, and I'd done a community sing-along program in this big log cabin, and the next morning there was this note on a bulletin board, and it was from somebody named Danny that wanted me to write to him. And I'm looking at my coworkers, I'm like, who is this person? Should I be writing to somebody named Danny? Who is? And they said, just write to him. I said, what do I say? They said, just tell him about your week and ask him about his. So I wrote this letter, because this is long before the days of cell phones. I get back this letter with a picture, and the picture falls out, and it's this sweet little 9-year-old boy. This little boy.
Wow.
And what he wanted was to connect with a park ranger.
Wow.
That's what was important to him.
Yeah.
He wanted a park ranger to be his pen pal. And so I wrote to him several times that summer. We exchanged letters back and forth. And his mother called me one time and she said, this means everything to Danny. It means so
that's
much
wonderful.
to him. So it's one of the last stories in my book, and it's the one that I love the most.
Good.
Because it meant that I connected with our most important natural resource, our children.
Yes.
Our future.
I wonder if he's a park ranger now.
Probably.
We can
Probably
always
his children
hope.
are
Yes,
park
yes,
rangers.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
that was a wonderful
Okay.
thing.
All right. Why do you write? I write because I can. I write because I enjoy it. I write because I always have. That's what I do. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Rosanne.
I write because I have these hundreds and hundreds of stories inside that I want to tell, that I want to share, that I want to connect with people. And more than anything, as I mentioned earlier, to just talk about, our beautiful planet, our Earth. It belongs to all of us. It's our shared heritage.
Yeah.
And I just want people to read these stories and love the idea of going outdoors and enjoying the
And
beauty of our
Connecting with people and making it, encouraging people to
Yes.
do that.
Making
Yeah.
that special connection that brings them inside the story so that they want to go out and create stories for themselves and for their
Yeah.
families. That's what's important to me
Great.
about it.
Okay. Stuart, why do you write?
And like Susan, I can't help but write.
That's right.
There's a force within me that says write, write, write. And when I wake up in the middle of the night and I have something in my head, I just need to go down to the computer and put it down for posterity. Yeah, it's not for other people. It's this force that has to.
Yes.
It's like a demon inside
to
that
get
has to
out.
get out.
Yes.
And that's why I write.
I was going to mention, you don't have to sit at a computer if you want to write. I wrote most of this book on my cell phone.
Yeah. Really?
Using the
Wow.
notes program on the cell phone.
Wow.
If I was sitting waiting for an appointment, if I was a passenger in a car, if I was on a tour with someone and I had a few minutes, that's how I actually wrote the book, in my cell phone, and then I would transfer it to a Word document. So you don't have to sit at a computer. You can write anytime, anywhere.
You can
whenever the
also
words come out.
astonishingly do it this way.
That's right, you can. What a concept.
Yeah. Okay. So it looks like we have a couple of minutes. Do you have advice for anybody, aside from the fact that you can do this, you can write anywhere?
Yeah.
Do you have advice?
One piece of advice that I have for beginning writers is do not worry about sales. 1 out of 1,000,000 people actually makes money on this. I've lost money in every single book that I've written, but I do. I keep doing it, not to make money or any hope of making money, but because I need to get it out, and I love sharing it with friends. Often I give away more copies than I sell, but don't worry about the sales. That shouldn't be a restraint to holding you back.
Okay.
Yeah. What I would advise is that you join writers groups. Talk to other authors. Look at other authors in your genre, your style of writing, and see what they're writing about and what works for you. But get out and talk to people. Talk to other people that love to write, like we're doing today.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, when you write your book, see if you can get other authors to endorse you. You'll be amazed. And I read somewhere, if you don't ask other people, you're not giving them a chance to say yes.
Oh yeah.
Give them a chance to say yes. I asked 12 writers, and 11 of them said yes.
Wow.
And the 12th one, the only reason they said no was because they wanted to read the whole book before they would say anything.
All right.
Yeah, talk to others.
Great. Yes. Rosanne McHenry, Stuart Rawlings, Susan Rushton. I thank all of us for sharing our information and our skills and our delight in
Thank
writing
you
today.
so
Thank
much,
you.
Susan.
Thank you for coming.
Stuart, what a pleasure.
Oh, good. All right. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again.